I don't even.
Hey,
I don't even know what I was gonna say.
trash talk goes on a road trip.
I wish it looks amazing. Like, look at the view.
I know
Just cold everywhere
you can see forever. Is
till
that
you get
Santa
yeah.
Claus over there?
No, it's a South Pole, man. It's the
Oh,
South Pole.
oh.
Santa's in the North. Let's get it straight. Come on, man.
We so I'm sure the people are looking at us and saying, okay, they've finally lost it. No.
We have. It's been a rough morning, guys.
And it was a long flight
It was a long
too.
flight, No,
But
hey, this is great. It's been so freaking hot in Texas.
we started talking about the cold, and the Arctic is melting and falling into the Pacific, and also we said, well, hey, how about Antarctica? And it brought off all kinds of interesting. I really, until I started doing a little research, I didn't realize that Antarctica doesn't belong to anybody.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's weird. And so here's the thing. Of course, God forbid, we're going to talk about it because I got to talk about the Antarctic TikTok conspiracy theories, but
Yeah.
because they're out there and it's crazy to me. I love that we are discovering so much about our history as a planet, as the world, as human beings, as whatever from Antarctica because of how cold it is and how everything, all that information has been in the frozen tundra. Now, there's prices to pay for finding out this information. We'll come to that. But I was watching a video. There's a pretty big camp out there that you can actually, well, I can't fly, but you can fly there. Like you can get a plane and fly there. The runway is ice. It's all ice. It's an ice runway. And you can stay in this camp. I guess like celebrities, like Shaq was out there. Um, and everybody was like, "Oh, could you imagine, seeing all this wilderness?" And I'm like, "Dude, no wilderness." And they're like, "Well, could you imagine seeing all these animals?" I'm like, "Hardly, because the animals stay closer to the coast. They're
Right.
not inland as much as this campus. Not to say that a polar bear might not get a whiff and track you, but the penguins, they don't come that far in because there's nothing there for them to eat. There's
Yeah,
nothing they can do.
they
And the
need to
polar
stay
bears
close.
they gotta stay close to the water,
Yeah,
like
yeah, because
so
that's where the fish are. That's where their food
yeah.
source is.
It was really interesting to watch though, and then to watch how dark it got, and how windy it got, and they were in the tents and like very cool, man. Very cool though. I think Antarctica is a place. I don't want to say it's on my bucket list, like I would probably hit Alaska first. But look, if the opportunity arose, I would go with trained professionals.
Well, it's now. I think they used to look at Alaska as the last frontier, but now Antarctica is the last frontier.
Yeah, and I still think Alaska is. There's parts of Alaska, and there's parts of the
That's right.
Canadian wilderness. Let's not forget the Great White North. There's part of the Canadian wilderness that you ain't getting through it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
it's
think
amazing to me though. Antarctica, the things that they're finding buried and fossilized, or the scary part, the things that they're finding once they thaw that are still alive. That's freaking creepy.
yeah,
Like those worms. Now, that was in Russia, but they found these microorganisms that were frozen. Once they thawed, they started moving again. And they put them under the microscope, and I guess they were producing. Now,
really.
here's yeah, true story. This isn't a TikTok tinfoil hat thing. So here's the weird thing about it is they're producing, right? But you don't know what that is. They don't know what they don't know what it is. So they haven't taken them off site in Antarctica. They're there at the lab. But do we really want these random microorganisms that could have been frozen since the dinosaurs to start producing? What if it's a bacteria? What if it's a new virus? We don't know.
Yeah.
It's
But
how horror movies start.
there a couple of interesting facts. First of all, there was a treaty that was signed way, way back in 1959. And there was 12 countries that all went in on it and signed a treaty to share Antarctica. I mean, you figure they weren't, putting down stakes and saying, okay, this part of Antarctica
No,
belongs to our country. It was just that they would oversee Antarctica. Like
it's
what was there
weird.
to what was there to oversee? A local snowball fight or something. There are some settlements that are down there that are doing research. They have been
Lots
there
of them,
for a
yeah.
long time. I don't doubt that there's probably oil underneath Antarctica or some kind of resources that would be worth getting. But some of the countries involved, and it's kind of interesting. Argentina,
Hmm,
part of South America, Australia, New Zealand, okay, not far
that
away.
makes sense. Yeah.
Chile, France, the United Kingdom, and Norway. Now, Norway would sign a treaty to share Antarctica. Gosh, all they got to do is go a few miles north, and they're in the Arctic.
It's
But
weird though, and I think this is where the conspiracy theories come in, is that all these people believe that they found something there and they don't want to tell us about it. Now,
yeah,
I believe they find stuff all the time and don't want to tell us about it.
yeah,
But and they're talking about the big ice wall. What's beyond the ice wall? Nothing. Like just fly over it.
another ice wall.
There's another freaking ice wall, bro.
Yeah,
And now their belief is, since we can't go beyond the ice wall, even though they've literally showed footage, um, they're saying that there's another continent over there that we don't know about, and that it's lush rainforest. And I'm like, I can't. Like, you got me. You got me when you say you're finding things. You got me when you say there's potential. Like, they believe that there is some sort of structure, pyramid esque structure buried beneath the ice. They showed this black thing. They don't know what it is. I can believe that. The way the world was back before, who knows? I can believe that there might be some structure there. Maybe it
yeah.
was people that got there and they were like, "Holy crap, it's cold, we're dead," and that was all they built. I don't know.
I,
Um,
if I'm not mistaken, I believe that there are some cruise ships that do
there
go
are.
to Antarctica.
They
Uh,
go around the peninsula of it. They don't go deep though. You can't
right.
get you. Number one, you don't want to go deep on a cruise ship because, I mean, like, what are you going to do? Number two, the potential ice blockage of a Titanic situation. Um, and then there's nothing. But I do think being able to get up there, I mean, you're gonna potentially see whales, you're gonna see penguins, you're gonna see, polar
Puffins.
bears. The polar bear is probably the most fierce hunter. I can put them up there with the lions and tigers and all that,
Yeah.
because polar bears literally, they eat meat. They hunt humans. It's not like a little brown bear or black bear that's going to wave to you. Polar
Right.
bears will smell you and track you. They are dangerous animals, man.
Hey, there's no fruit on any trees down there that they can have as a supplement.
They eat, and they need that meat. I mean,
Yeah.
look at how big they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their hibernation style is vastly different than the way that they take their downtime and quote unquote hibernate. It's not like they hibernate for the winter. It's always winter. They take a downtime and they need that meat to store. And I'm gonna tell you right now, man, if a polar bear is on your butt, you're done. You
Yeah.
better be you
Yeah.
better be high up in a building. Even if you're in a truck, those
Yeah.
things can rip doors off trucks.
Well, like you said, you have to find high ground. Where are you going to find high ground in Antarctica?
No, and go ahead and try to shoot it.
Yeah.
You better have an elephant gun, because if you shoot it, it's probably, even if it hits it, it's like, whatever. I mean, dude. So I think Antarctica is amazing. I really hope, and it's fun to go down the conspiracy train. And I recommend that people look up Antarctica conspiracies on TikTok. You're gonna just die. Um, but it
I
scares
remember
me.
reading something about they say that aliens from other planets and all they see that as a place where they might be able to colonize or learn more about us because it's wide open. There's nobody that's going to be there watching them on a regular basis. So
Sure.
if they want to come down and do some experimental stuff, that's a logical place to come.
Well, and what's weird is, like, I believe that more of the governments probably do things there than we want to know. I know a lot of times they test out like medical stuff there because
Right.
God forbid if there's an outbreak, it's dead, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But it scares me when they start talking about developing things. It scares me when they start talking about finding microorganisms that are alive in the permafrost. I go back to the Russian story where in the permafrost they found these worms. They were small worms. They were dated back thousands of years, and they opened up. They came alive. They thought they were dead. They thawed. They were alive, and they carry a virus that. And this is not some movie, guys. This is real stuff.
Yeah.
They carry a virus. Do we really want to start bringing back viruses from thousands of years ago? Like, come on.
But the movie is coming.
The movie's already there. Like,
There,
here's the thing. Like, this is what I tell everybody. If the movies do it, somebody has thought of it smarter than us. Look, right now, as we speak, the dumbest scientists in the world are doing this stuff. And one thing they are doing, there is a company, and I highly recommend Googling it. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. There is a company that is very close, if not already, has completed the DNA chain of the Tasmanian tiger that was extinct years ago. That same company is estimating that they will birth a cloned woolly mammoth in the next 3 years.
wow.
They missed the whole Jurassic Park series that said this is a bad idea and it doesn't end well. They don't care. And their thought process behind it is, well, the woolly mammoth could not only deserve to live in this world, I'm like, why? But it could be a force or a source of food if meat gets scarce. So you're gonna bring an animal back that didn't make it just so you can eat it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned Jurassic Park. I mean, that was the whole concept behind that movie. And so you say, well, why couldn't that be
They're
redeveloped for
doing it.
something in a place like Antarctica?
And now they're doing it. And it's the scariest thing. I just read the article because I follow this stupid company. And I read the article about the Tasmanian tiger. And I'm like, the Tasmanian tiger was killed, I think like 1900s was the last spotted one.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I'm sorry it died, but could we maybe think about something else? Like, why are we going to bring these things back? They didn't make it. They didn't make it.
yeah,
And I think you go to places like Antarctica, you find some fossilized stuff, you find some microorganisms, and you can test this stuff out in the open. And what a perfect place for the woolly mammoth to live, man.
sure. Did you
Crazy, man.
know, good factoid, did you know that they have run a marathon in Antarctica?
Where on the from they just release a polar bear and then run?
More than once. No, there is a running group, an
How do you
organization
run?
that and I have a friend that ran it because he
Hmm,
he he wanted to run a marathon on every continent. And
that's
of course,
weird.
everybody says, "Oh, that would be cool." But you don't think about Antarctica. They actually took the people down on one of these ships. They went into that whatever that peninsula is where the only port exists. They
Yeah.
mapped out a 26.2 mile route. It was an
Jesus.
out and back type of a route. And I think there were like 150 runners that signed up and did it just to say that they ran on all continents.
I mean, I get it. Like, so when I started my run game back in Michigan, I started in the winter. Now, I am not comparing Michigan's cold to Antarctica, but I am comparing the cold hitting your lungs, the wind coming
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
and you had to wear a mask because it literally pierced and took your breath away. I loved running in the cold like that
yeah,
because it built up my endurance. Now, granted, that was what I was in Michigan 14 years ago, 15 years ago. I started running maybe 20 years ago in Michigan.
yeah.
I don't know if I could do it now. I do run in the cold now, whenever it gets cold, but not like I used to. And I can't imagine that what the prep work and what, equipment as far as clothing. And, it's not like you can stop and be like, I got to take a quick break. Let me drink this water. I mean, you got to stay hydrated, but it's a very complicated thing.
Yeah, I always wondered, did they have porta potties along the course?
You just pee. You just pee in your clothes.
And would you want to stop long enough to go?
Yeah, I mean, could you? You'd have to sit down because everything disappears when the air hits it.
Well, but
Just
if you sit down, you may never get up.
you start looking like a Ken doll down there. You're
Yeah.
like, I don't even know what to do, you know? Well, that's when
But
you connect one of those things to your body and you just
yeah,
pee in a bag.
but it must be an exhilarating experience to do something like that. Obviously, you don't run a marathon like that for the scenery because
Well, I do know.
it's
I got
all
to
the
be honest with
same.
you. I bet I guarantee you it's breathtaking though, and I don't mean that literally. I
Yeah,
guarantee you seeing that for the very first time. I don't like our pictures don't do it justice. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Is that beautiful? Yeah. Does it look like another planet? Absolutely. Do you want to see it 7 days a week, 365 days a year? Probably not.
Yeah. But I mean, it would probably be a really an experience like none other. And I would think that to go to see the whales and the puffins and the what actually exists there would be interesting.
I think
You're
so
certainly
too.
not going to go for the food.
I
Uh,
can go, but here's the thing: I can go whale watching at other places too. Like we are, I told you we're going to Salem next Halloween season.
yeah,
I'm going. We're going whale watching, right? Right off the coast there. And they said that's the time of year. Like you are going to see something. So Luke and I are going to go whale watching too.
that's cool.
Um, yeah, and hotels booked, dates are handled. So I'm excited. But I'd rather do that than have to risk going to Antarctica to see a whale. Plus, that whale might just shamu its way up on there and eat a bunch of seals and penguins and try to get me. Nah, I'm good,
Right,
bro.
right.
You fall in the water in Antarctica, man. That's a different animal. Not to saying I want to fall in the water on the East Coast, but chances of survival better.
All right. Well, we're going to put Antarctica on our bucket list, and I'm going to get out of here pretty soon because I'm melting right now in the studio. Uh, I got I got to go cool off. So so, make it a good one, and I'll come back and join us again right here for Trash Talk again next week. Okay? Go out there, make it a good one. Bye.
Later, guys.